if I'm putting one matchup out there between two Pokemon that I think will be the spotlight, I'm expecting the Shadow Gligar from A Shady Equation and the Wigglytuff from Rise to Occasion. I'm curious to see how that matchup may play out, but let's take a look at these teams. We have Rise, who has so many times relied on this key Pokemon Lantern, also complemented by the Dugong, Umbreon, all dark moveset, Annihilate, Shadow Gligar, and the Charmer, Wigglytuff.
We heard them talking in the interview about how these Pokemon are going to play out in this matchup. I think Shady mentioned that his Shadow Whiscash might look pretty safe into Rise's team. Yes, there is the water resist on the Dugong, but you're still able to spam out those neutral Mud Bombs. Let's take one final look at Shady Equation's team as well. He's got that Skarmory. That's going to be the main answer to Wigglytuff. Of course, the Vigoroth, Lantern, and Whiscash that he's been relying on as well. Yeah, I'm curious to see. There are some overlapping Pokemon here, right? They both have the Shadow Gligar. They both have the Lantern. I think one key difference is going to be the counter users, however. Vigoroth versus Lantern, or sorry, Vigoroth versus Annihilate. A Shady Equation has used so much Vigoroth throughout this day too. I don't know if it's going to be quite as impactful into Rise's team unless it's able to get lined up maybe versus that Dugong or versus that Umbreon. Let's find out here. These trains are still getting locked in. We've seen this dynamic before where you have a Pokemon that looks really safe into 5, like Shady Equation's Vigoroth, but you have to watch out for that super hard counter in the Annihilate. Same story for A Shady Equation's Gligar, by the way. It's really safe into Rise's entire team, except for that Dugong. Okay, one key Pokemon as well that A Shady Equation has been unleashing into several matchups is the Cresselia. It'll have some nice play into that Annihilate. Does quite well versus the Charmer, Wigglytuff. But so we're ready to go. We're locked in. This is the grand finals. Let's get some hype in the Twitch chat. Let's get some hype in the crowd. It all comes down to this: Rise versus Shady. And Rise has that Shadow Gligar in the lead, and Shady has that Cresselia. Such a neutral matchup, but we've seen this play out a lot of times. Both trainers are going to need 2 Charge Attack to finish this matchup. All right, in comes the dig. No shield, it looks like, on the first one, letting this full dig go through. Does quite a big chunk of damage, but this Cresselia is able to hang on versus both. Does not want to bait here. The Shady goes straight for this Moonblast. A small chance for a debuff. Rise opting to no shield. And as Shady Equation, you have to imagine that Rise is bringing that Umbreon that he's been relying on so much during this tournament. He's probably happy that the Cresselia is getting to avoid it. Both trainers are actually over farming here. A Shady Equation going for the Grass Knot, getting as many Psycho Cuts in as he can. Looks like Rise to Occasion is going to try to build up some more energy before trying to take out this Cresselia. All right, I think there's a lot of opportunity for overfarm. Don't want to go over 100 energy. Want to throw before there could be a Charge Attack priority on the next turn. Here comes the dig. Aerial Ace probably not enough to knock out, and this is going to go unshielded by A Shady Equation. Down goes the Cresselia. Maybe okay with the shield advantage here, but bringing in the Lantern now is A Shady Equation. Needs to watch out for these digs. Yeah, again, doesn't have enough fast attack pressure on his team to really be able to farm down this Gligar, but a Rise to Occasion, gets the successful aerial escape on A Shady Equation. Might be able to reach a dig now as a result. I would have liked to have seen maybe A Shady Equation go straight for that Surf before you reach that second dig, but perhaps just the double shield Lantern strategy maybe spark this Gligar all the way down. But now a quick swap from Rise, bringing in the Umbreon. There is no Skarmory that's going to be immediate. There is no Cresselia. I think that you just stay in this matchup as A Shady Equation. Yeah, you don't have a great answer. Umbreon is incredibly neutral into both of these back 2 Pokemon. And actually, you see that Lantern in the back by Rise to Occasion. So this is a little bit of a risky play if that Lantern ends up getting locked onto the Whiscash, which it's looking like because A Shady Equation is just staying in. That could spell bad news. The tenacity of A Shady Equation, recognizing just how valuable this Whiscash can be. Didn't bring it at all in the previous series. Now has it ready to go in the back here versus Rise. Now here we see Rise throwing not the Foul Play, but the Dark Pulse. This is going to be favored here into this Lantern, but you really need to get a lot of damage into this Lantern, somehow find a way to neutralize it. Let's not forget that he still has that Gligar hanging out in the back, though, with just a sliver of HP. Looks like A Shady Equation is very happy to see that the Umbreon has dumped all of its energy onto the Lantern. Gonna start farming up energy with the Whiscash. Dark Pulse coming through from Rise to Occasion. It's gonna go unshielded as Shady Equation has no Protect Shields left, so we're gonna have to see how he chooses to deal with the rest of this Umbreon. All right, here comes the Dark Pulse. Does a nice chunk. Switch clocks are up now for Rise to Occasion. You need a Charge Attack to knock out. Actually, I think waited a turn there. Maybe tried to catch a Charge Attack. At this point, though, you're capped on energy as A Shady Equation. You're not going to farm down. You're forced to throw energy. So I like this strategy from Rise, just providing an energy dump, and it does knock out the Gligar. This brings now in the Lantern with a shield advantage, but this Whiscash still has a ton of energy. Yeah, 1 Mud Bomb definitely not going to be enough to take out. You need to reach 3 here. 1 to take hit Protect Shield, 2 to knock out, and it's going to come down to this. If the Lantern's Surf knocks out the Whiscash, that's going to be terrible for a Shady Equation, but I think it might just be at enough health to survive one Surf.
Keep an eye on the switch clock, Soph. A Shady Equation almost has that switch clock ready to go. Rise actually able to get the Surf off just before switch clock was available. This Surf is going to be hitting for neutral. This is Shadow Whiscash. It takes 20% more damage. Will it knock out? No, hangs on with just a sliver of HP. This Lantern has energy. Can it get to this Thunderbolt to knock out its own Lantern? Here it comes. I think this is going to be enough, Soph.
It is enough, but remember, Rise still has that little bit of an Umbreon in the back. If it can get a Snarl down here and hit that Whiscash in the back, I think this might be a good game in favor of Rise.
Okay, but actually throws the foul play, does not go for the Snarl down. Didn't want to risk getting sparked down. This Umbreon is now energy dry. It's going to be met by the Whiscash. Still for Shady Equation. It's a battle of fast attacks. One Snarl is all you need, and game number 1 on the back of Umbreon going to Rise to Occasion.
Such a close game there. Shady Equation was just one mud shot away from reaching that final charge attack, which would have taken out the Umbreon. I think the Whiscash just needed a couple more HP to be able to close that game out.
No Vigoroth there in game number 1 for a Shady Equation, which I think is such a good answer to that Umbreon. You obviously don't want to take several of those Dark Pulses, but it's going to be probably one of your best answers. Let's look back at game number 1. After the Cresselia went down, well, actually remember, Rise invested that Protect Shield very early on, and he goes for that bait, able to strip away both Protect Shields with that Gligar, which then a Shady Equation had to play 2/3 of that game with no Protect Shields.
Yeah, absolutely huge baits there, getting both Protect Shields, and Shady Equation was playing it well, you know, stayed in with the Lantern versus the Umbreon, had the Whiscash for the Lantern in the back, but, you know, just again, not enough health, got chipped down too much by the Umbreon.
All right, and as you can see, that Snarl was all you needed there. Rise to Occasion, maybe he could have even snarled down the previous Pokemon and unleashed the foul play into that Whiscash, but he knew exactly the energy counts, he knew exactly the HP, he was one step ahead, and he is now 2 games away from being your 2024 Los Angeles Regional Champion. A Shady Equation gonna have to find a way to respond.
Yeah, he is on the back foot a little bit here, not only in this series, of course, because he's down 0-1, but also in the overall tournament. Remember, he's on the loser side of the bracket, so he needs to win 3 games here before Rise can win 2, and then, of course, win another best-of-5 series.
I like that Shadow Whiscash. I think that had quite a bit of play. It got lined up versus the Lantern, but it was low enough that all you had to do was get a Surf off and then just a little bit of fast attack pressure from that Umbreon. So great adaptation by Rise, despite not having the switch advantage, having his Lantern, which he just seems to run every game. So I feel that he, of all the trainers, just says, Lantern, every game, let's go.
Well, it's pretty safe into a Shady Equations team. If you can avoid the Whiscash, which we still saw it able to take out there, avoid the Whiscash and avoid the Cresselia, you have a lot of play.
Okay, we're moving into game number 2. Rise, 2 wins away from winning yet another regional championship. We're going to see the Umbreon again, this time lined up versus the Shadow Gligar on the side of a Shady Equation.
Pretty neutral matchup here. We're going to see both trainers just farming up a little bit of energy over the charge attack here. Shady Equation going for this very first dig is a little bit more efficient than Aerial Ace.
I think for Rise, the X factor is going to be his own Shadow Gligar. Might have some great play into not only that Vigoroth, but maybe the Lantern as well. Actually, a swap now by a Shady Equation, swapping in his Lantern to catch this charge attack from the Umbreon. This is going to be the foul play, so nice call there, and not really taking too much damage. This is actually going to bring out Rise's own Lantern now.
Yeah, and a Shady Equation is just a little bit ahead on energy here, able to reach this first Thunderbolt, but you have to think, as Rise, maybe your foul play actually put enough chip damage onto this Lantern to help you spark down after a Thunderbolt.
Well, keep in mind, it takes so long to get to those Thunderbolts, so you can overfarm so significantly, and as you're overfarming, you're able to get a lot of chip damage in the form of those neutral sparks. So here comes the Thunderbolt. This is going to be very close to knocking out a Shady Equation's Lantern. Shady Equation wants to get some more value out of his own Lantern, uses the Protect Shield.
Must be very happy to not see another bait here. Throws the Thunderbolt just before Rise is able to reach his own Thunderbolt. We'll have to see if Rise decides to put up a Protect Shield. He does have a lot of energy on this Lantern.
I think that a Shady Equation wants to get his Vigoroth realigned versus that Umbreon, maybe even willing to put a second Protect Shield here. Keep in mind, though, this could be a serve. He's maybe thinking, is he going to bait? This Thunderbolt absolutely will knock out, and a Shady Equation opts to let it go. This is going to allow Rise to maintain switch advantage with an even shielding scenario. Switch clocks are back up, though. Maybe he tries to pivot out to avoid a farm down from this Vigoroth.
Well, he's very close to another charge attack here, so able to reach the surf, just going to fire it off, still has a little bit of health and a little bit more farm for a Shady Equation. So we'll have to see what Rise decides to do. Maybe he switches out, like you said, to avoid a farm down. And yes, there it is. Brings in the Gligar to now absorb this energy.
But that chip damage is so valuable because now you just need one Aerial Ace to knock out this Vigoroth after the wing attacks. Maybe a couple more wing attacks beyond that as well, but it makes this job so much easier. However, a Shady Equation does swap in his own Gligar. I think they are very close to being on even energy now. A Shady Equation still has one Protect Shield. Does he want to use it on this Aerial Ace from Rise? Yes, he uses his final Protect Shield.
He has seen all 3 Pokemon at this point, thinks that Aerial Ace is going to do the most damage. Almost at 2 Aerial Aces there, but not quite. Rise to Occasion got his wing attack through. He's going to shield this up and try to get that energy off.
Will this be a charge attack priority? Are they both one away? No, like you said, Rise has the attack ready to go. It's not going to be enough to knock out. How much can a Shady Equation overfarm? He wants to go into this next matchup with energy, but this Aerial Ace is going to leave him dangerously low. How much can he afford to overfarm? I think he might be 1 or 2 away from that next Aerial Ace.
Yeah, but if the Lantern comes in, you probably want to get... Well, actually, no, the Lantern is very low, right? The Snarls from the Umbreon actually aren't going to apply a lot of fast attack pressure, so maybe he can go for all the way for the dig. Yes, there it is. Oh, but the catch on Lantern!
What a devastating catch. That wasn't just the Aerial Ace, it was the full dig. Going to be absolutely absorbed here with a 3rd shield in the form of this Lantern. Now Umbreon has a lot of energy and needs to get through this Vigoroth. Shields are down. You've got 2 Foul Plays. 1 Dark Pulse, probably not enough. You need to land not 1, but 2. And I think Rise has both of them loaded.
A Shady Equation did get the body slam there, but it's not going to be enough. He needs a couple more counters, not able to get them, and Rise is going to throw off the 2nd Foul Play. Huge catch there to deny a Shady Equation's energy.
Tournament-winning plays potentially there with that catch on the dig. So impressive. Now you just need 1 Snarl to take out the Gligar. Game number 2 going to Rise. He is 1 game away from a regional championship here in our 3rd season of the Play Pokemon Championship Series. What an impressive start to the series so far by Rise.
And Rise, like we said, no stranger to the main stage. He's probably really getting excited now and trying to keep calm. Like you said, just 1 win away. He can even drop a couple more games and still be in the driver's seat in this grand finals.
Keep in mind what a Shady Equation needs to do here. He needs to win 3 straight games, force the bracket reset, and then win another 3 games. That's 5 wins. Meanwhile, Rise simply just has to win once. That is so challenging for a Shady Equation. Looking at these replays, though, it was the Umbreon show, getting lots of damage into all the Pokemon. Don't forget, though, we did see this great catch. 1 Snarl, 2 Snarls. We see the catch here. Yes, the dig absorbed fully by that 1 HP Lantern.
And really great recognition by Rise there. That Gligar was at such low health, it really had to throw its energy. Otherwise, Shady Equation probably would have needed to, anticipate the catch. But that is so difficult in these different settings, especially in such a high-pressure one as the Grand Finals.
So if you're in the headset of a Shady Equation, what are you telling him to do right now? What is that maybe one difference maker that he can adapt to try and turn the tide here against Rise?
You need to get Vigoroth on the Umbreon. You need to forget that you're down 0-2 and just play normally.
That's right. Just treat it like it's 0-0, right? You can't feel that pressure, that almost doom that some trainers just have weighing on them. This is where resilience and tenacity comes into play. A Shady Equation, I think he's ready to get locked in here. Rise, meanwhile, trying to determine what is going to be that winning play here. We haven't seen the Wigglytuff. I don't think we've seen the Dewgong either. I think it's just been that Lantern, Umbreon, Gligar that we have seen so regularly throughout this tournament.
Well, a Shady Equation hasn't been bringing the Skarmory. Even though we've seen him bring it in past matchups, he really might need to actually bring it to get it aligned on the Gligar here. Still expects Rise to be relying on the Umbreon, though.
All right, we're moving into game number 3. This could be it. Let's see here. Game number 3, Rise versus a Shady Equation. We're going to see the Annihilate for the first time. It'll get matched up here versus the Shadow Whiscash.
Nice matchup for the Annihilate. You have a lot of fast attack pressure here, especially against the Shadow variant of this Whiscash. Expect to see Shady throw this Scald very soon, going for a debuff. Rise actually goes straight for the Night Slash, doesn't even build up to the Shadow Ball.
Yeah, maybe trying to throw on charge attack priority there, wanting to get some damage off before a potential debuff. It takes this Whiscash down below 50% HP, but this is going to be a lot of damage coming in the form of the Scald. Rise uses the Protect Shield.
Yeah, counter comes through there, and the Scald is going to go shielded, but Shady Equation actually going to switch out into that Lantern. He knows it's very safe into Rise's team. Rise is still staying in here. Maybe wants to, oh, banks the Shadow Ball before coming to the Umbreon.
Okay, this is interesting now. We see the Umbreon come through, and we've seen this matchup play out so many times. Umbreon with Dark Pulse has some good play into this Lantern. I'm curious, Rise is probably calculating right now which combinations of Foul Play and Dark Pulse do I need to take out this Lantern. Meanwhile, takes a little bit of chip damage here, throws on good timing, and is able to get this first Dark Pulse into the Lantern.
Looks like he's hoping that he countered the Lantern into double Dark Pulse range potentially. Looks like that actually might be right. With a couple more Snarls, that might be just the perfect amount of damage you need. Meanwhile, Shady Equation farming up a lot of energy with this Lantern. Gonna fire off a Thunderbolt here.
I think you're gonna need a Thunderbolt and a Surf to knock out this Umbreon. So I think it's the ball's in Rise's court right now. We have the Dark Pulse loaded, maybe even a little bit of an over farm. You risk getting to the Surf, and I like the way, even though this is not optimal timing, you know that this is when you can throw before this Lantern is able to reach its next charge attack. The question is, does Dark Pulse knock out? No, Lantern hangs on, has the Surf ready to go, but no, actually,
Surf.
I think had an over tap there, unfortunately, maybe trying to swap back into that Whiscash, had a full Surf's worth of energy, but the Lantern goes down.
And that could be devastating because now not only did you knock it off the Surf, you have to take this extra Foul Play, which because you didn't knock out the Umbreon, now it still has all of its energy.
That Surf could have been critical. Like you said, it would have knocked out that Umbreon. Instead, you get this chip damage into the Skarmory, and now this Annihilape comes back in. A Shady Equation needs to make a call, but no, he shields this Night Slash, unfortunately, recognizing that this counter damage is so imposing. You pretty much have to shield everything at this point.
Yeah, remember Rise to Occasion. He switched out of that lead matchup with a ton of energy. Now it's just able to throw these Night Slashes because, like he said, those fast attacks are really starting to add up. Shady Equation trying to overfarm just a little bit here, throwing this Sky Attack. Rise is shielding up. He knows that these counters and this Night Slash that he's about to reach are going to be absolutely pivotal.
Look, Rise has to get through this Skarmory somehow. He does not want to have his Gligar locked into it. He shields down now, though, and whoa! Able to get the charge attack priority. Great counting. Doesn't go for the Night Slash. It may not knock out, goes straight for this Shadow Ball here. This is going to take out the Gligar. You still have to get through this Skarmory, though. Will you get fast attack down? Do you have enough HP to take out not only this Annihilape? No! Here comes the Night Slash. Will this be enough to knock out the Skarmory?
And this might be it, Jim. This is a Shady Equation's last Pokemon. Didn't even see the Gligar, and it looks like Rise is able to take this series 3-0.
3-0 sweep. Rise to Occasion is your 2024 Los Angeles Regional Champion. He's going to be etching his name into the Pokemon Go Walk of Fame. We see some chatter here happening with the judges. I wonder if they're looking at that moment with the Surf on the Lantern. A Shady Equation was not able to get that Surf off. I think that there's still some chatter trying to determine, was there some impacts on the game, or was that working as intended?
All right, well, they're still discussing the game. There is that moment you were talking about. It sounds like there might have been some one-turn lag when a Shady Equation entered with the Skarmory. I mean, I see the score is still at 2-0. I think the judges are going to take a look. It is possible that it's not over.
Yeah, if this would be a huge turning point. In fact, this has happened once before. Let's not forget, going back to a Shady Equation versus Pokemango, when he was essentially down and out, we did have that dispute that was successfully overturned, and we saw a Shady Equation able to then take that follow-up game. So he's been able to dig deep before, but he has a huge journey still ahead of him. Assuming that he's able to get the reset here, he still needs to then win that first game, as well as 2 more, as well as another bracket reset series.
Well, it could be that the time they're spending sitting on the stage here, maybe talking back and forth, this could be the mental reset that a Shady Equation needs. And let's take a look at this moment. I think this is what they're disputing. Looks like the Skarmory might have come in late, and if it didn't, it might have been able to Steel Wing down the Annihilape fully. Good
call. So it wasn't really actually just that Lantern matchup. What we're looking at here is going to be the Skarmory. Maybe able to get the full farm down there, unleash a Brave Bird. We'll have to see what the judges are thinking about that moment and the match itself.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Brave Bird quite knocks out a Gligar there, even if you're able to get the full farm down. But I'm not sure either whether the Gligar would be able to reach an Aerial Ace in time, because that's essentially what it comes down to, right? Brave Bird plus Steel Wings versus Gligar reaching an Aerial Ace.
Yeah.
Would have been really close.
Yeah, absolutely. At that range, Aerial Ace would have knocked out. And keep in mind, there's still the opportunity to make a catch attempt, I believe, with the Umbreon as well. So, yeah, we're taking a close look at this. I mean, we know that's going to be knocking out. I think it comes down to that moment when the Skarmory comes back into that matchup.
Yeah, it's possible that the game wasn't quite over. Still still some play for Rise, like you said, maybe even a catch attempt. Maybe the Gligar is able to hang on as well. But you know what? If you look at Rise's backline, I think the Shadow Gligar might be the only thing that a Skarmory could think about even one-hitting from there.
I think at this point, if you're a Shady Equation, you know that it's not in your hands. It's up to the judges at this point to determine what the outcome of this review is going to be. You're just trying to stay prepared, ready to go into that next matchup should you get the opportunity. Here we go, the Skarmory yet again. We are going to be seeing these fast attacks, trying to see, are they synchronized? Are they out of sync? It's so close, hard to tell, Soph.
I think they're definitely out of sync, and the question is more whether it was actually impactful. Looks like the review is not going through, and Rise to Occasion is in fact your Los Angeles regional champion.
Rise to Occasion not dropping a single set here in Los Angeles. Yes, he is your Los Angeles regional champion here in the Pokemon Go Championship Series. What an impressive tournament run that we saw from Chris here. He went straight from casting here to winning the tournament. This man is on fire.